We're next going to look at two functions that help us work with dates. It's called extract and date trunc. So extract is used to get a component of a datetime value. It's almost like just taking one piece of the whole date. So if we look at a date, for example, as being 2017-03-17 and then have hours, minutes, and seconds, I can use extract to just get one of these out of it. This is also usually called part of date or date part. And it actually turns out that in Postgres, there is a function called date part. And this function is exactly the same as extract as far as how it works and what ends up being executed when you run it. Extract is ANSI SQL, whereas date part is Postgres' own implementation of this command. I like the word date part better. It's more commonly used as far as other applications and other programs. But since extract is ANSI SQL, we'll be using the extract keyword. But just know there's something called date part that can also be used. Date trunc, the second date function we're going to be talking about, truncates or cuts off dates. So here, instead of selecting a specific component out of here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I don't want all these things to the right here. I only want everything to the left here. So it would then return 2017-03, and then it would just say 000 on all this stuff. So it's almost like using a left function on a string. When you use extract and you use month, you get 03, but we don't know if 03 is 2017 or 2018 or what it is. Whereas when you use a date trunc, 03 belongs to 2017, or it belongs to another month, but we know what month and year we have, versus when you use extract, you only use the month. So if I have data with multiple years, and I want to know for every January what is our sales, and I want to combine, I don't care which year it is, then I would be using extract to get the month out of there. If I, however, wanted to know what is the sales in 2016 in January versus sales in 2017 in January versus 2018 in January and so on, then I need to use date trunc. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this a little bit more. Extract here, this is the general syntax. So we're going to have part of date. This is where we define what component in the data I want to pull out. So we can use things like year, quarter, month, and so on. And then field, here I'm defining what is the field or the column that I'm going to be pulling part of dates out of. So if we apply this, for example, to the purchase order header, where we have something called an order date field, and I want to get the months out of those order dates, I will say extract month from order date. And this can, for example, be included in a group by, in a select statement, in a where statement, and so on. Let's take a look at what happens when we run these. So if I run this code, this is pretty obvious probably that I'm going to get 2017 out of there. Quarter, well, what quarter is 0317 in? And this, of course, is not quarter like fiscal quarter, because that could be different for different companies. This is just saying quarter one would be the first 3 months out of the year. So here I'm in the first 3 months, and therefore I get 1. If I change this to 5, I should get 2 here instead. And that changes to 2. I think the rest is pretty obvious, but month, that will return 3. Week, that's the week number, so we have 52 weeks, and we start counting week 1, the first 7 days out of the year. So this is week 11, I guess. Day, I'm getting the day that's displayed here out of here, so 17. Day of year, so day of year is saying, okay, how many days has there been since New Year? So if I do January 1 here instead, I should get a 1 as a return value, and then it just keeps adding 1 for every day that passes. Day of week returns a number indicating what day of the week it is. So Sunday is a 0, Monday is a 1, Tuesday is a 2, and so on. Hour, I'm extracting this component. Minute, I'm extracting this component. Second, I'm extracting this component and any fractions of seconds. So seconds here would return 30 if I run it like this. So let's go ahead and look at that. But it also returns fractions of seconds. So it's works a little bit maybe like date trunc when it comes to this. There's some sort of combination of it. But if I add 52 milliseconds, then I'm getting 30 seconds and 52 milliseconds. And finally, epoch is a counter of how many seconds it has been since 1970 01 01 0000. So how many seconds has passed since then? Right, so those are some of the options. There's more options too for using various part of date values in here, but these are probably the most common ones. For date trunc, the general syntax is as follows. You have the function date trunc, and then you have the date part now within quotation marks, and then the field. Here we had the date part, or the date component, and then the keyword from, and then the field. And both here we have the field without any quotation marks, but here I have the keyword, the date part, without quotation marks, and here I'm using quotation marks. And I use from here, I don't have from down here. So unfortunately they're a little bit different. And that's one of the things with using, maybe not using extract and instead using date part, is that date part is formatted more similarly to date trunc. But again, I want to use extract because of ANSI. It transfers better to other databases. All right, so an example then would be date trunc. We want to do month and get order date. So if we do date trunc on order date, and we have an order date that's 2017-03-17, 2 in the morning, 9 minutes after 2 in the morning, 9 minutes and 30 seconds after 2 in the morning. Then if I do month, what I would end up getting is 2017-03 for that specific row. And of course, other orders would have other order dates, and they would also be truncated by returning the year and the month. So here are the different options for using date trunc. So let's go ahead and run some of these and see what we're getting. So here we are going to get, we're going to get the year, we're going to get the month and the day, and we're going to get the hour, the minute, and the seconds. Let's add some milliseconds to this and see what happens. And notice that doesn't change the result, so I truncated away the milliseconds in this instance. Minute then would return almost the same thing, but I would truncate away the seconds. So notice now how seconds became 00. Hour will just simply truncate away the minutes, so we're going to have get 020000. Day will truncate away all the time components and just return zeros for those. So we're going to have March 17th, 2017, but then all these are truncated away. So then I can group all those together if I have different times, but on the same date. Week will return, so if I'm changing this to, for example, the 18th here, if that's in the same week, it's going to truncate that down to the 13th as well. See how that's still the 13th when I run it? Then if I change that to the 19th, actually let's change it to the 21st instead, because that should be a new week. So then this should now jump to the 20th, and it did. So now I'm in a new week, and then all the days of that week is going to be truncated down to March 20th, 2017. Month, of course, will be just March 2017, and day will be 00, and so on. And I think the rest are pretty obvious too here. Decade is going to put everything that's in, so it's 2018, 2015, and so on, would all be placed into 2010. So then 2021, that will be 2020 instead.